Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 2 of the podcast for stockbrokers for beginners, where we still don't have a name, but we're working on it. As always, we want to thank you guys for tuning in, being awesome, supporting us. And because of that, we do have something at the end of the show that we're going to announce. But before anything else, I'm going to introduce the actual experts who know more stuff than I do. First of all, we have Tony. Tony, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Give me one
How
second.
you guys doing? I'm great.
I'm doing awesome. I know Dalton is very excited to be the first time on the show. We'll get to you in a second. Tony, this has been kind of a crazy week for both crypto and the stock market together. How do you feel about this week being going on?
Well, there's been a lot of chaos the last year, but it's the crypto craze, and it's one of those things where you start to see something skyrocket and there's the fear of missing out. So everyone jumps on board, but it all started with Coinbase. It all started with Coinbase, a private company that is the largest crypto exchange in the United States and the second largest in the world. And they became a publicly traded company, and the most important number is they actually went over $100 billion. So they started out as a large cap company, which gave a lot of mainstream retail investors confidence that crypto is real and here to stay, and especially when it's starting out with an valuation over $100 billion. So it just signals confidence in the market, and it signals a legitimacy towards cryptocurrencies. So,
all right, I like that. I'm going to bring over Dalton, who is a fellow Canadian, but also he has more knowledge about investing because he's an advisor. So we're going to bring him up here if my computer will be allowing it. Sorry, technical difficulties. Dalton, thank you very much for being on the show. You were supposed to be last week, but life gets in the way, but you're here now. Introduce yourself, since last week our listeners we're at 20 people right now, so we want to thank you guys for watching in. Introduce yourself, so some people may not know you. You're admin of the group. What else do you do?
Yeah, so I'm an admin of the group. I joined in, and I just like to help share my blog, and also help educate people on the need to do smart investing. So I've worked as a financial advisor. That's how I got my feet in the door. Sold mutual funds. I sold in insurance. Then I transitioned. I became a currency broker. So I worked in the currency markets for a little bit with small to medium businesses who do import and exporting. And then from there, I developed a pretty good client base because I was a business role. So I wanted to really focus on the stock market, because that's where my heart and passion really were. And I didn't want to work for a big bank or anything like that. I wanted to sell sort of my own advice and my own funds. So I went to go get licensed to become an investment advisor. And from there, I started my own firm, working with people who want to make money alternatively. So outside of traditional fund management, which is just basically ETFs and mutual funds, and hold long and let us suck you to death with fees. So.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of it in the group recently, and as part of the main group, we talked about it, about how cryptocurrencies and different types of investing, like options and that, coming on. And we wanted to address one of the major points: options for beginners. You spoke up to us in the group. How about you let our audience know? And if you guys have any questions, make sure ask away in the comments. We'll bring it up on screen. But what's your opinion for investors who are beginning on options?
So if you're beginning in the stock market, there's certainly a lot to learn. The way that stocks move, and the way that currencies affect stocks, the ways that futures affect stocks. All this stuff is really, really a prerequisite for understanding the way options move. So options are complex derivatives. They have an element that is not only intrinsic value, but also time value. And for the most part, the majority of a options pricing is based on time value. And so to really understand the speculation that comes into that, you really need to have a good idea of the way that all parts of the market work. The stock market is pretty simple. It's very one-sided. Usually everybody knows if you hold over the long term, you make a lot of money. You can do your basic fundamental and technical analysis, and you'll pretty much do fine if you stick to your big market leaders or ETFs. Options are a different story because of the time value. So the longer you hold the option contract, the odds are the more that option contract is going to decline in value as it gets closer to that expiry date. So really, when you play options, you're really looking for a particular rise in terms of if it's a call option or if it's a put option that you're looking for a certain fall. But what's important is the amount of time that it takes for that stock to rise or for that stock to fall, or ETF, whatever the option is based on. So it's really a market timing thing, and that really requires a lot of knowledge and experience of the overall market, as well as having a good knowledge or having access to order flow data.
So we actually have a question that I actually, given that it's tax season up here in Canada, so this is something very interesting. Are gains from option trading taxed the same as gains from stocks? So we're going to answer, Tony, I think I just answered it in the group, but we'll let you answer it as well from the Canadian side.
A while ago. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's slow. It's slow. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's not the most fastest, but go ahead, Dalton. What's your, if you can answer that question as a Canadian?
Over here in Canada, the majority of all the trading I do is in my RSP and TFSA. So anything obviously in your RSP is tax deferred. Everything you do in your TFSA, and you can hold options in your TFSA. I've done it before. That is tax free. So to be honest, off the top of my head, I do not know the tax implications of trading in options outside of a registered account. So off the top of my head, I don't know. That would be something to Google.
Excellent. Well, Tony actually was talked about it and answered the question hours ago. Apparently, did Tony
hours?
I don't know. My computer's slow, and you are not coming onto the big screen. Why are you not on my big screen? So I'm going to just talk like this until the system picks up. Tony, since you can maybe answer it for our other people who haven't seen this or are listening back on this, the question was, are gains from options trading taxed the same as gains from stocks? So you answered yes. Would you like to elaborate for the listeners?
Yeah, well, you have your short-term capital gains and your long-term capital gains. And when you're trading options, you can hold an option over a year. I mean, there's many options. You can do year, 2 years out. I'm not sure exactly how far out you can go with options, but I know you can go several years. So it's just like anything else. If you sell it before a year, then you are responsible for paying short-term capital gains tax, which is your ordinary income tax bracket. So It's always beneficial to hold past a year, because then you qualify for long-term capital gains, which are discounted tax brackets. I believe the highest tax bracket is 20% off the top of my head, but don't fully quote me on that. Yeah.
Again, this is fully educational. As some of us may be licensed advisors, we're just giving you an opinion. You should always sit down with licensed advisors when it comes to money or investing. That we are just giving opinions. We are like, Google Media, Google Doc, we're not 100%. You need to speak to a specialist for this. So we're just trying to make you guys a little wiser with our knowledge. Tony, this actually leads into the second question we wanted to cover with Coinbase, because it deals with somewhat speculated currencies and options are speculation. What's your advice on getting into Coinbase and how it's destroying the market now?
Well, I think you have to take a step back and understand what Coinbase is and what is going on right now. Coinbase actually was started in 2013, a couple years after Bitcoin was created in 2009. And Coinbase just capitalized on the fact that cryptos weren't, being traded on major brokerages. And they're still really not at this point, but that could change. So Coinbase grew into the largest crypto exchange in the world. And as we know, most people know, a stock exchange is exactly kind of what Coinbase is. And a stock exchange is simply an avenue where securities can be listed, and it's your middleman between, you have your brokerage account, and that's your middleman between you and the stock exchanges. So Coinbase, the reason why it's such a big deal is because Coinbase was a direct listing to the NASDAQ stock exchange. It didn't even go the traditional IPO route where it would need to raise money, where they go through a process. When most IPOs, they're trying to raise funds to get listed and they need sponsors or whatnot. And Coinbase just went on as a direct listing, and it didn't need any money. It didn't need any help. And it started out with a huge market cap of a large cap company, a company that like Google or Facebook. I know those
that have been around for generations.
I know those might be mega super caps now, or whatever you want to call it, mega cap. I think Dalton would be able to answer that better. But it's significant because they started out with such high credibility. And it's crazy because valuations, financial metrics and valuations don't really matter anymore. It's if people are going to buy, the stock's going to keep going up. It's crazy. People don't, what happened was we were flooded with so many new investors this past year and a half. And these people aren't going on Yahoo Finance and reading balance sheets of companies. They're reading from the internet, they're reading from Facebook groups, they're hearing from their friends, they're hearing from their coworkers, hey, go buy this, go buy that. And they're just doing it. They're not doing their due diligence. They're not researching. They're not checking the balance sheets of Sundial to see what their debt ratio is. They're not checking their free cash flow to see how much money they have after operating expenses. They're not checking the PE ratios to see if it's undervalued or overvalued. They're not checking the price to book value, comparing it to market to the actual book value. They're not doing any of that. And that's why the market is so overvalued right now, is because people are just buying and buying and buying, and they don't even really understand what they're buying. So that's kind of what happened with Coinbase when it hit the market. It had a huge market valuation, and then it kind of sold off. I don't know, it hit like over 400, and then it dropped to $100 per share. And it should probably realistically be somewhere in the 200s, maybe like low 200s realistically, because I saw there's not a whole lot of metrics out right now, but I saw their PE ratio or price to book. The PE was like 700. So it would take you like 700 years to make your initial investment back if you bought all of the stocks there are to buy of Coinbase. So clearly it was selling way too high. But what does that mean in 2021? Nothing, because people just keep buying. They don't understand that. So that's where we're at right now. Everything is overvalued.
Excellent.
It's tough to find good deals. So,
Dalton, I want to bring you in because Tony did bring up some points that you may know a bit more about as our resident financial advisor here. Again, he is only giving his advice. You're not paying him, so it's just his opinion right now. But your opinion on Coinbase, and then there's actually a question from one of our great listeners here, Patrick, that I want to get your opinion on. So, opinion on Coinbase in the market right now.
Yeah, Tony was absolutely correct with everything he said. So the reason why you've seen so many direct listings and IPOs over the last year, and especially SPACs over the last year, is because the market is super overvalued right now, and there's a whole lot of retail investor irrational exuberance. So everybody knows, hedge funds know, CEOs of leading companies know that retail investors are in the market at record highs, and they will push as many direct listings, as many IPOs, as many SPACs down our throats, as long as they know that we're here to buy, because we don't, as Tony said, the majority of the market right now is not looking at PE ratios. They're not checking balance sheets. They're not looking at income statement. They don't care about statement of cash flows. What's that? So they're not looking at any of that. And you can get really, really crappy companies to trade at really, really high valuations. And that's really good for a direct listing, right? Mm-hmm. Even better than IPOs, because you don't have to submit as much documentation, right? So that stuff has been really, really running rampant through the market. But one thing that is positive about Coinbase, at least, I'll just give a comparison here. I wrote an article last year about the influence of the NASDAQ and why the NASDAQ would be a great pick. NASDAQ Inc. So the actual company that runs the NASDAQ exchange. I said why that would be a great pick, and that was because everything was moving towards tech. And if there's a lot of trading on the NASDAQ, that means that NASDAQ Inc. is making a whole crap load of money. So if you look at it that way, with that being, a big selling point for, being able to buy the NASDAQ stock, if you look at Coinbase in the same way, if there's a whole bunch of trading going on in Dojo Coin. I know Dojo Coin is not listed on Coinbase, but they certainly have Ethereum, Dash, Litecoin, Bitcoin, and all those heavy hitters. If there's a lot of trading in cryptocurrencies, Coinbase is going to be the one collecting all the fees in North America, at least. There's a few smaller players like Kraken and stuff like that, but Coinbase controls 12% of the market. So if you look at it from that perspective, if there's a whole bunch of trading in cryptocurrencies, Coinbase is going to make a crap load of money. So that's one way to look at it.
Excellent. So I'm going to bring up the question here from one of our regular members here, Patrick. Again, I apologize if I mistake your name. I made a mistake on your name, but he's asking, what are some stocks to look out after Biden's infrastructure plan? Will those be advisable for beginners? Can't speak tonight, but your opinion on that? Do you see any big things happening with Biden's infrastructure plan?
I'm sure he's going to do a lot of spending. That's one thing that you can expect with a Democrat at the helm. So basically a lot of your infrastructure ETFs will do well. If you didn't want to go for a whole ETF, go with things, because the thing with ETFs is there's a lot of great companies in there. In those first 10 holdings, but the further you get back, usually the crappier the companies get. So if you just wanted to stick with market leaders, which I hugely recommend whenever you're going into any company or investing in any stock, it's always good to use market leaders. Look at the big guys. So your CATs, so Caterpillar, Deere is good too. Deere's moving into a lot of gravel and sediments and stuff like that. Anybody making asphalt, all those big market leaders will tend to do extremely well.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to bring Tony on to answer the question as well as soon as my computer allows me to. All right, here we go. Let's see if it works the first time. It worked the first time. Tony, what are some stocks? You agree with all those big ones?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Just look for market leaders, those blue chip companies. Caterpillar's a great one. I think a lot of people, they try too hard to chase trends rather than just picking good companies. Like, Absolutely. Biden's infrastructure plan. To me, that didn't faze me at all. Like, I didn't think, I'm going to go search for stocks to match his infrastructure plan. Nope, I'm just going to keep adding to my ETFs that I have. I have 6 ETFs. That's all. You don't even need 6, really. And I think one thing is people try to do is they hear all these new trendy ETFs, like there's like human. I forget the exact name of what it was, but I saw an ETF that was like human rights ETF or something like that. And I'm looking, or human equality or socially responsible. That's what it was. A socially responsible ETF. And someone's like, I just bought this ETF. What do you think? And I'm looking through the holdings. I'm like, these are all just S&P 500 companies in different orders. Like I think these brokerages are just, it's all marketing, man. They're just marketing these ETFs to people that don't know any better. And they read a title that says that, this is socially responsible investing. But it's all companies that are in the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. And, you know what I mean? Don't fall for the marketing of these brokerages with these high expense ratios and these actively traded ETFs. You don't need them.
Ooh, we got a question here, Tony. I'm not going to have you answer the full question here. What they're asking is, can you please give the names of the 6 ETFs you hold? I'm going to ask you for 2 of them.
Everybody knows what I have because I've done a video about them.
That's true. You have.
I have VOO, which is my largest one because it's an S&P 500. I'm not telling you to go buy these. I'm just telling you this is what I have. I have SCHD, which is a Charles Schwab dividend ETF. And the reason I have that one is because it's excellent capital appreciation and dividends. It's like a 3% dividend yield. I have SPYG, which is a growth ETF. I have VXUS, an international ETF. I have VNQ, Vanguard Real Estate ETF. And I forget the other one. Some other high dividend. Oh, Vanguard's high dividend ETF, VYM. So, and VOO is my largest holding.
So we're going to go into the last topic of the show. It was something that I love to follow up with Coinbase, and because you kind of are somewhat of our specialist on crypto, Tony, what's your opinion on Dogecoin? I know you just made a video about it recently.
First of all, I am not a specialist on anything. I'm not a specialist on Dogecoin. So don't just take my word for everything. Always do your own research. I've done a lot of research, so I know a lot about, or I know a little bit about a lot of topics. But I'm definitely not
jack of all trades.
Yes, I'm not an expert. I'm not like Dalton. I'm not a certified financial advisor. I just done a lot of research. I've read a lot of books. I've listened to a lot of videos of people that are a lot smarter than I am, and I regurgitate their beliefs. That's all I do. As far as Dogecoin and all cryptos, for that matter, I'm kind of torn on it. Cryptos are first of all, we all agree, all the admins agree, that cryptos are highly volatile. They can go up 10% or drop 10%, and in any given day or moment of the day or more. So we all know that. And we all preach safe investing and wise investing. Only put what you can afford to lose in cryptos. And I'll say that I think cryptos are the future. I don't think all cryptos are the future. I think some of them are. I think Bitcoin is one of them. Dogecoin, personally, I feel is just a fad. There's a lot of hype behind it. But I'm also not naive to the fact that people like Elon Musk, Mark Cuban are pushing it, and he's selling Dallas Maverick tickets and merchandise you could buy and sell with Dogecoin. Kathy Woods, taking large positions in Coinbase and also backing cryptocurrencies. I see a trend. I see a movement. I see a lot of younger kids. My brothers are all in their early 20s. That's all them and their friends talk about is Dogecoin. A lot of their friends my brother's friends have been buying Dogecoin for years. I looked into Dogecoin. I did a video on it. It's actually crazy how much hype this had that I had no idea about. In 2014, they sponsored a NASCAR vehicle, a major one. They've been around for a while, and they have grown incredible amounts from the beginning, from 2012, I think it was. And, they've fiddled around 1 cent or less for 8 years now. And then 2020, 2021, they've just exploded. And, a lot of it is market conditions and the hype and new investors. But Dogecoin has had a following for many years. I read on when they opened their website, they had over 5 million people sign up. So
Jeez.
it's a following, it's a cult following. And now there's this push in social media with TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and all these big name hedge fund people and billionaires backing Dogecoin. I think it's going to go to $1 personally. I really do. I feel really strongly about it. I don't think
it was actually a question that was asked. I was going to ask Dalton this, but someone was asking, will it go to $1? So
I think it will, because there's a TikTok campaign going on right now, and social media campaign with all these people that are trying to get it to $1. And I really think it's going to, despite that sell-off. Sell-offs happen all the time. And I think there's going to be a couple more big pushes with it. And I'm not telling you to go buy it. I'm just giving my personal opinion. Do I own some? Yes, but it's such an insignificant amount that if I lost it all, it wouldn't matter to me at all. So that's how you should look at buying Dogecoin. Bitcoin, I think, is different. Bitcoin does have a market cap. Dogecoin does not, as we've seen many people comment. But you know what? Fiat currency is a pretty flawed system too, and there's no market cap for that either. We just we just print money whenever we want, and it's all digital. We're not really printing anything. We didn't print $5 trillion in the US. I mean, we would be printing it for the next 100 years if we were doing that, most likely. I just want to say one more thing.
Yep.
Think about how much $1 trillion is. And I heard an amazing analogy from somewhere online. I forget where it was. If you went back into the time when Jesus was alive and you and him went into business, and your business made $1 million a year from when he was alive until today, if you had $1 million a day, every day from that business until today, you still wouldn't even have $1 trillion. You'd have about $800 billion. So we just printed 5 times that. So think about that for a second. So does market cap, or does a cap really matter? Because our central banking system is kind of a house of cards anyways. So
excellent. That's something very something very interesting to finish on. Bringing Dalton here. Dalton, your opinion on Dogecoin, and will it go to $1?
I will give my opinion. I want to rewind here. I've been sitting on this to what Tony said before, because he was 100% correct when he was talking about the infrastructure plan. So yeah, when I hear about the infrastructure plan, same with Tony, it doesn't faze me. I'm not changing around my portfolio to do anything with it. It's business as usual. And just because you hear about an infrastructure plan doesn't mean that you should go invest in penny stocks that deal in infrastructure. If you did want to play it that way, here's why that's not going to work. You go and invest in penny stocks that are in infrastructure because you think they're going to get the money. Those small companies are not the ones that get the big contracts from the government. It's your cats, it's your deers, it's your big multi-billion-dollar corporations that will get the majority of that money. So I just wanted to make that point there. And now I'll get to Dojo Coin. Dojo Coin was started as a joke. The founder started as a joke, and they used to have a nice little website that you could go to back in the day, and it would tell you the time, and have the Shiba Inu, that's the dog, have its face all over, much time, much weather, all these kind of silly little things. And it was a huge fad during the introduction of cryptocurrencies back then, because everybody was just creating one just to say that they've done it. There's an unlimited supply, so there's an infinite supply, and there's not really any reason for anybody to actually utilize it, because you can't do anything with it. But the price has skyrocketed, and just like anything else in markets, prices can get extended. So you don't need very much to push the price higher, because it's cryptocurrency, so they have 8 satoshis. So you can buy 0.000001 of the thing, and if you buy it at that price point, it reaffirms that price point. So I think when you look at it, I think people get a little confused as to what the market cap actually means. But this is similar to stocks too. Just because it says that Dojo Coin has a market cap of, I think at the height it was like near 50 billion, which is worth more than a lot of companies, Palantir, DocuSign, that's worth half of SpaceX. I think when people look at that, you have to understand that it's not that the total value of all that people have paid a total of 50 billion. It's just that the last price, if you average it across every single coin, and there's hundreds of millions of coins, based on that last price that coin sold for, the total value of all coins is 50 billion. That doesn't mean that there's been $50 billion worth of buying. So that's a good thing just to keep in mind. And it's like Tony said, a house of cards. But house of cards can get very, very big before they blow over. So can it get to $1? Yes, I'm sure it can. I said if it got to $10, I would buy it. So
yes, you made a big bet in the group chat. Would you like to share it with the group, or you want to keep that still quiet for now?
Oh no, I'll say it. So I thought that the price shouldn't be where it is now. The price definitely shouldn't be at $1. If it gets to $10, that would be really the point where I think that it could go
to the moon.
Out of this world. So to the moon, so to speak. So I would buy it there. And someone made the point, I think it was Tony made the point. He's like, if it got to $10, it would be worth like 10 trillion or something, and I was like, yeah, like that sounds about right. But I mean, it's no more ridiculous than this company being worth more than Palantir. So it's all the same at that point.
All right, excellent. So I'm just going to jump into the middle here because we do have a little announcement we want to make to you, the listeners, to the 37 of you, and also everybody watching behind. After this post, we are going to be, after this video, we're going to be announcing that there is a competition to name the podcast, and we want to keep you guys included. So for 24 hours after this video, there's going to be a post asking for names. You can make as many suggestions as you want. Following that, we'll close it down. Then the admins will look at it and we will pick one favorite each, and then we'll make a poll for you guys to vote on it. And by the next episode, we will have a new show title, and it's all going to be thanks to you. And the winner of that will actually get a free course from Tony's Udemy course as a prize. So there you go. You got a big incentive, guys, to come up with the best name. Remember, it is a stock market for beginners. And obviously, we don't want to just stick to one topic. It's everything. But again, please make sure you check out Tony's YouTube channel. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers. You can follow it. The posts will be in the show notes down below. He's very close. You need 120 people?
Yeah, like
just about
something around there. Yeah. Yep.
So
it's
look,
getting close.
You guys, if you enjoyed,
we got 36,000 people in here. Come on.
Yeah, we got 36,000 people love here.
I'll say only subscribe if you want, if you find it valuable. So if you don't
subscribe,
I don't take it personal. So, yeah.
Of course. Make sure you go listen to his podcast, because Tony and his brothers do break down things easier for you to understand. I'm loving it. I'm learning so much just listening to it now. And of course, Dalton, thank you so much for being a guest. Well, not a guest, you're a permanent member of this. So thank you for showing up and giving your financial wizardry to us. Make sure you go to his blog, subscribe. It's phenomenal. I just started reading it and I'm loving it. If you're interested in more in me and you want to support me, simply go and listen to my podcast, Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast, where I talk to entrepreneurs to learn how they started their businesses and get where they are. And we want to help other people do the same. Tony, what do you got?
I just want to answer someone's question in here. They said if they had $100,000 into a stock with one share, or if they put $100,000 into a stock that was trading at $1 per share and it went to $2 per share, would that mean that they doubled their money? Yes, it would.
There you go. Look at that. Simple. Yeah. Already breaking down mathematical stuff at the end of the show for you. Next week, we'll have a new name for the show. We're going to touch maybe on different topics. We'll maybe put out a post for you guys to ask questions. We certainly want this to be interactive. It is for you guys. We're just bringing our knowledge and sharing it with you so we can help you. I thank you very much, everybody, for listening in and watching live. Please leave comments, questions if you're watching the replay, because we want to help you guys on the next show. Thank you and good night.